Hello, everyone. Welcome to the BAG show. I am so excited. I am your host, Luana Parker. And remember, this show is for you, the author, the aspiring author, the wannabe author, and those someday I'm going to write that book author. Oh, well, I remember how often I said that, but I finally got around to it. If you have any questions, please send them to me at lwrepark@gmail.com. Would love to respond to you. And remember to put BAG in the subject line so it will receive priority attention. I want to treat you with special care. Today, I am genuinely excited, not because I have another author on the show with me, but because he's an incredibly special friend. I have watched him grow in the 4 years that I've known him, and he has done remarkably well for himself. He is here with his newest book, and I love it. I have read it. You need to read it too. Please help me welcome and give a very warm welcome to my special friend, Mr. Fox Beyer. Yay! All right, Fox.
Thank you, Luana, I'll go beyond just a friend. You are my West Coast mother.
Oh, thank you.
Transformed into that over the last 4 years. You've been definitely a mother figure, a great friend, and a great mentor as well. So thank you for having me on.
Thank you. I appreciate you saying that. It has been my privilege and honor to be a part of your life. Before we get started, I want to show you this book. This book, you have got to read it. And I
Look
can't
at that.
tell, is this showing the right way? Can you read the title?
Yes, the correct way, or else maybe I'm just a backwards person as a lefty.
No,
Yes.
I'm always leery of that. It usually turns out it's the right way, but I still ask the question because I want people to be able to know who the book author is and what he has written. So,
Luana, I've done that. Sorry to interrupt, but I've done that at an award ceremony in college for baseball. This is about 1999.
mm,
And I was a manager, a student coach on our college baseball team. And I handed the stolen base champion, we had a picture of me and him and the trophy. It was just kind of a plaque next to us. And in the picture, I was holding the plaque upside down with the wrapping still on it. So experience is a great teacher.
those are the things that makes it extra special. Can be kind
Yes.
of embarrassing at the time, but afterwards it brings such wonderful, warm memories for us. So, well, thank you for that. I appreciate you sharing that little bit of trivia with us. So, Fox, tell us a little bit about who Fox Beyer is.
A little bit about who Fox Beyer is. Oh, that's loaded. But I am a man now um, who is working on being more humble every single day so that I can help serve people, whether it's through my teaching as a high school teacher, whether it's through my writing, um, be it in books or songwriting or speaking, or whether it's in coaching. A man always working on his humility, I guess, is the way I would put it.
Mhm. Well, humility or not, I'm in awe of you because I know a little bit of your story and some of the things that you've gone through. And yet you are here, you are not complaining. You just stepped up and did the things that you wanted to do. And even though you may have stumbled along the way, you didn't let it stop you.
You know, you know me that I do stumble, literally and figuratively every single day as a man with cerebral palsy. But I've learned that we didn't have many rules in the house growing up, really didn't. And I have and had and have a great upbringing and a great family. We're very well off, although, I've learned in the last couple of years, not as well off as I might have thought. It wasn't until about a year ago that, my dad told me that for the first 10, 12 years of my life, my parents took out a loan to get us all Christmas gifts. And I have 3 siblings, and I never ever knew that. And to hear that news at 40, 41 years old, you appreciate more things more. But again, we had one rule in the house: no complaining. You're taken care of very, very well. Don't complain, especially when things just don't go your way. But yeah, that was the one rule in the house. And what else? No, I'm going to leave it right there and let you continue. No complaint. We are not complaining on this podcast.
Well, I think you learned your lesson very well, because you have from time to time shared a little bit of some of the challenges that you've gone through. And any other person would have given up, sat down and said, well, hey, I've got this problem. Nothing's ever going to work out right. So why even bother? But not you. And I admire you for having that kind of stamina to be willing to fight the battle and show people that it doesn't matter the obstacles. It's the person.
No, it doesn't. Those things are going to be there. And to put this kind of succinctly, we all know this, but I was reading a book, and I believe it's called The Compound Effect. It's a very popular book, and it had been in my queue for a long time, and it may have been in this book or a John Gordon book. So I don't want to say where exactly it was, but it's basically this: people are successful because they have challenges in their life. They've overcome challenges, and we're at the beginning of the NFL season. One of my favorite NFL films clips is of Chris Carter, a wideout for Philadelphia and Minnesota through the years. He's a Hall of Famer, and he's sitting on the bench, and he just says flat out in the middle of the game, "There's not a man alive who hasn't been through something." But you have to go through something to be something, if that makes sense. And that's kind of the point in the book that you showed. That is just a compilation of things that I have learned from other people that I have put in my own words and used a great format from a great publishing company. We're all going to go through adversity. And if you want to be successful, you have to be able to deal with it and win anyway. Is the point that I'm making, and it has been told to me in so many ways over the years. I just figured out a way, like I said back in February and March, to put it so maybe some can understand it.
Was there any particular thing that made you decide to write this book and the way that you wrote it?
Yes, that's the short version. The long version or longer version is this. I met the publisher or I should say the CEO of this publishing company, the Aha That publishing company, Mitchell Levy, at a TED Talk in 2017. And we struck up a friendship almost immediately. And he basically said, when we parted, look, if you have an idea for a book, here's my email, and let me know, and we'll see if we can work with it. And 2.5, 3 years later, this past January, February, I had an idea, and along with his great team, we were able to go through the process of writing down these 140 actionable items. And I had the idea of putting it into an acronym because I'm a teacher, and I don't know if I'm a very linear person, but I like that, an easy way to remember. And it after a little bit of struggle, okay, there was struggle involved in the whole thing, and it was brought on by me.
Mm-hmm.
It came to fruition, and I couldn't be happier with the way that it turned out, and the way that I've been able to philanthropically provide it for people who may need it.
Well, one of the I think it's number three that I like was the struggle you face are real, and you can tell them to kiss your, and we won't say the word.
Kiss the arse, kiss the arse. Yes. So yeah, that's got to be one of my favorites as well. I must confess. So the book is Adapt and Maintain Enthusiasm in Adversity using a 5-step FACTS process, FACTS, and that's the acronym. So 5 mindsets we can adopt every single day, things that we can get 100% on to help us succeed, win anyway through adversity, and that is in the F chapter. And the F, in fact, stands for basically this: when you fail, it doesn't make you a failure. Yes, the adversity is going to be there, struggles are going to be there, so just turn around and let them kiss it.
Yes, I remember when I went through a little situation in my life. Well, let's just say it. I had been downsized, and for a while, I thought I was okay because I didn't have to go to work any longer. But, reality hits, and suddenly you go, oh, wait a minute, I can't live the same lifestyle. Things have to be changed. But in the meantime, I still have these bills that have to be paid. And I discovered my age. No one ever said it, but because I knew I had these skills and I knew I was a good employee, I figured it had to be my age that I wasn't getting hired. So I went through this little slump, and I didn't realize how bad the slump was until one day I was sitting around thinking, and it dawned on me that I had allowed fear to knock on my door. And instead of telling it to go away, I opened the door and said, come on in.
Come on in, you want some coffee?
And it enveloped me, it just wrapped its arms around me, and it was a tough getting away from it. That's how things go sometimes. You let these little negative things get a hold to you, and when they do not want to let go. I mean, they hold on tight.
No, they don't. The human brain, it'll do kind of what it tells you to do. I mean, and don't you find, Luana, that a lot of life is, being fearful but doing it anyway?
That's
I
what
think
it
that's a
comes
lot of it.
down to. That's what
Yeah, a
it
lot of
comes
what your
down
story is
to.
doing it anyway. I mean, heck, you're shut down, and I think your feelings are valid.
Hmm.
It may well have been an age-related thing, but to you, age means nothing. Okay, to others it may, but not to you, and eventually you proved that.
Yep. Once I recognized what fear was doing to me,
Hmm.
it was easy to push it away. And don't get me wrong, it still tries to grab onto me, but I refuse to let it wrap its arms around me the way it did before. So this book has quite a few things in it that I thought was just great. And you know, I, I don't know what made you decide to do it this way, to where it's kind of a workbook and a journal at the same time. And there's a lot of little things in here that I enjoy. One of them being the victory highway is not smooth sailing. That road is a constant uphill battle. And sometimes we don't recognize that. We think everything, once we make a decision about what we want to do, we think everything should go, no bumps, no, just go the way we planned it. And unfortunately, life doesn't work that way.
No, it doesn't, and I'll give you a concrete example in my life from this book, Luana. So we got to the point, speaking of me and the publishing company, so myself, Mitchell Levy, and a couple other ladies, Karen and Jenna Lee, who helped me with the publishing process. We got to the end. Okay, it was maybe the beginning of April, and the book was about to launch. And the final thing that happens is that Mitchell, the publisher, gets a copy and he reads through it for a final approval. It might have been just the PDF. So he read it, and he didn't get it. And he's living on the West Coast as well, lives in Silicon Valley. And it's about 3 p.m. my time. And I get a text from him, and it reads, Fox, can you chat for a minute? Here's my Zoom link. So on the call was Mitchell, myself, and Karen, who led the publishing charge. And Karen lives in the Philippines. And here on the East Coast, the Philippines is 12 hours ahead. So that meant that Karen was on this call at 3 a.m. her time.
Wow.
Okay. And just to show you the investment that this really wonderful company had in me, we sat there and talked, and Mitchell basically said, Fox, I love you. This is a good book, but it could be way better. So in a lot of ways, I had to go back to the drawing board with it to make it better and more impactful and maybe more succinct. I wanted to add stories in there, to use somebody that you mentioned, Chris Finn. I wanted to add kind of his story in there, which it is part of it, but it needed to be a little more direct. But again, make your point. Victory Highway here, this book process was not smooth sailing. It was uphill, the old adage, uphill 2 feet of snow, walking backwards. I mean, that's what it was for a while. So yes, Victory Highway is not smooth sailing. That road is an uphill battle, as evidenced by my little story there.
One of the things I found when I was writing my book was that I would write things and then I go back and read it, and then I have, oh no, I'm saying this all wrong. Go back and rewrite. That's what took it so long to write, was because I made the mistake of writing and reading what I had written and then rewriting it again. And so I've been telling people, don't do that. Just write what's on your mind, get it all on paper, and then go back and reread it and make any changes that you need to make, because otherwise you'll never finish that book.
Yeah, right. And I think we're talking about the same thing. Whether you're writing anything, I think what's helped me, I should say this, and it may help those who are listening, is that it's the basic understanding that writing is rewriting. In other words, don't ever expect that the first thing you write is going to go in the book. It's going to go in the song. It's going to go in your blog. Typically, life has taught me that it's not that way. Writing is rewriting, and enjoy the process.
So did you have any kind of help or input on this book aside from your friend who told you could do better?
That was the main thing, and all of the entire company, whether it was my marketing director Jenna Lee, or my publishing consultant Karen, or my editor Haley, I mean or Mitchell himself, everyone, okay, and countless others within the company themselves. It was make no mistake about it, it was a complete team effort. And that book that you're looking at or holding in your hand was not draft number 1. That was probably draft. I mean, I don't want to put a number on it, but it probably had 3 numbers to it. Okay, and I realized that going in, like you said, there were some ups and downs, but in from the very beginning to the very end, I knew that I had something impactful to say that could help people and serve people. I mean, I write for two reasons, because I love the process, much like you do, or you seem to, Luana, and I want to use it for the greater good, to help people, because I love reading, and books have had an impact on me, from my speaking. I mean, every time we talk, I mention a book, like I mentioned now, that I did not write. Uh, but yes, it was them from AHA, that publishing company, the great people there. And my sister Julie is also, she's a great friend in the way that she's not going to tell you just what you want to hear. She's going to tell you, and this is in the book too, those we trust. This is the S in facts. Find someone you trust, and people that you trust are those that may tell you things about you that you don't want to hear, in an effort to make you better. And my sister Julie was definitely that, excuse me, in this process, along with the people at AHA, that publishing.
Have you always wanted to write? Is this something that you developed later on in life?
Luana, I'm a weird apple. I am this, it may not seem like this, but I am a lifelong introvert. I have one of my favorite shirts. It says something like this: my imaginary, you can't see my chest, and I'm not wearing this shirt now, but my imaginary friend says hello. So I grew up in a swamp. I grew up playing baseball by myself in the backyard, even though I had 3 siblings, and we played baseball together all the time. But I loved to get out there with a plastic bat and a tennis ball and make believe I was Vince Coleman, and I would just talk to myself and announce games, and writing lets me go into my own world too. So while I didn't start writing vigorously maybe until shortly after college, and very much so about 6-7 years ago, it's just always been therapeutic for me to create something seemingly out of nothing. That to me is that's pretty cool.
Maybe that's a trait of introverts, because I always considered myself an introvert as well. And growing up, like you, oh my gosh, I love reading. It's one of my, not one, it is my passion, reading. And I always wanted to write. Um, but the sister one time got a hold of something that I had written, and it was personal, and she chose to share it with people. And I was so embarrassed that I would not attempt to write, not even to write a letter, because how embarrassed I was. Up until a few years ago, when I decided, you know what, I'm not, I'm not gonna miss out. I don't know how much time I have left. I'm not gonna miss out on doing something that I really, really enjoy doing. You know, so. But I had my own imaginary friend too. Is why I'm saying this, because I used to talk to my imaginary friend all the time, and
I'm gonna buy you a shirt, Luana, just to let you know there's just someone out there just like you, and he's your East Coast son, but he definitely understands that that imaginary
oh,
friends, they're
God.
they're good friends.
Yes, they are. And it helped me to survive, because if I hadn't had that imaginary friend, there were times when I felt there was no one around, no one for me to communicate with,
Mm-hmm.
because I was an oddball. I grew up in a time when little black kids were not interested in reading books, you know, and
Mm-hmm.
so the nickname was bookworm. In those days, we didn't have the word nerd then, so I was the bookworm, and any other odd thing that they could think of to give me as a nickname. I didn't take it as an insult,
Mm.
and I didn't take it as somebody trying to bully or make me feel bad. It was just their way of saying I was different from them. You
And
know?
that's it. And I don't. When you say the term bookworm, to me that nowadays
Mhm,
in 2020, to me that does not have a negative connotation to me. If someone said, "Oh, he's a bookworm,"
mhm.
well, I kind of want to get into his head or her head. Do you know what I mean? But
uh,
yes, I was. I mean, a lot. like you, I gravitated toward being alone.
Mhm.
And gatherings, school, whenever an opportunity presented itself for me to go off and sit on a bench or sit the other end of the classroom, I took advantage of it, because to me that was comfort, and it was a place where I could use my imagination.
Exactly. And I don't know about you, but when I read a book, I'm actually in that book. I am one of the characters in there, and I experience everything that they're experiencing, and that's the joy and pleasure that I get out of reading uh, for for myself. I often wondered if other people felt the same thing. Uh, anyway, so tell us, you've written this book, and I know this is not your first book. So what's in the works for the future? What does Fox Beyer have planned for tomorrow or the next day?
Well, it's what do I have planned? So I, in terms of the book itself, I would love it if this book, in some way, shape, or form, gave me the opportunity to write another one, and that would be really, really exciting. Um, I am, and this is a term that's tossed around a lot today. I'm a man with a growth mindset, so I'm excited. I wanted to tell you that at age almost 42, I am going. I've enrolled in a human relations program at Northern Arizona University to get a degree in human relations. Psychology has always been intriguing to me. And I think as far as human relations and diversity goes, nowadays is the time to get an understanding, a better understanding of people, especially as an introvert like me.
Well, I have no doubts that whatever you choose to go into, you're going to be successful at it. And I am, as I said before, I'm just really thrilled that you're a part of my life. I had the opportunity to get and meet you, and I remember you being so quiet at that conference. When you were there, and I went over to talk with you because you were quiet, kind of like me. I was scared to death. Never been to a conference like that before.
Same with me. Same with me.
Well, boss, we're going to have you come back because there's so much to you that we'd like to learn and know about you. Things that
Thank you.
just can't get into in a 30-minute show. But I am just so glad of your success and what you have done with this, that you have made or will make a difference in so many people's lives. And you mentioned that you were a teacher. Um, Maybe if you could briefly tell us how you got into teaching, what made you decide to go with teaching? That part of sharing.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm being honest, and I was thinking about this just alone today, really was, I got basically a liberal arts degree from the University of South Carolina, and I loved my time so much there that when the time was up, I wanted more. So I asked my parents, and I did a victory lap, did another year, and during that year, I acquired the credits to earn a degree in Spanish. And from there, I enrolled in a graduate program to get certified to teach. And very luckily, right out of student teaching, there was an opening for a job a couple of towns away from where I live. And I started working at Whippany Park High School in January of 2005, and they haven't kicked me out yet. And I tell you, I love the Spanish language, and I love words, but it's the interaction and the impact you have with students. It's when uh, I get my most fulfillment when I am able to share my experiences, good or bad, with my students, and those things you cannot find on Google now, um, and basically say, hey, and most of the time it's this. This didn't work out for me, be smarter than me, be tougher than me, be wiser than me, get ahead of me. And I'll share, and I share something personal with them. And that's what they end up remembering 5 years after they graduate. That part of teaching has been most fulfilling for me over the past 15, 16 years.
Mm. Wow, I bet you're a great teacher. Before we close out on our show today, is there something that you would like to offer the audience? Some words of little nuggets that you'd like to share, or an offer you have?
Absolutely. I've probably talked way too much, and offered too much, but I want to offer the listener, the viewer, right now, a free copy of Adapt and Maintain Enthusiasm in Adversity Using Facts. Here's what you would do. Simply message me off of my website, which is foxbeyer.com. That's FOXBEYER.com, and Fox like the animal. And if you scroll down the bottom of my webpage, there's an area where you can message me and just introduce yourself and tell me that you're interested in a copy of Adapt and Maintain Enthusiasm in Adversity, and I would be happy to mail you a hard copy of that. I believe in what I wrote so much that if free copies are floating around all over the earth, that's what I want. I want it to be read, because they're my words, but they're words and things that I've learned through people all through the years, from my teachers, from my coaches, from you, my mentors, my parents, and that's why it's from tons of people of all different races, ethnicities, and varieties, and I want to share that. And I just love how it's in a journal form, how you can read and reflect. I love getting my hands on those that books, because you're forced to take notes. And if you just read something and you don't write about it, it's just a memory. But if you write about it and you journal, it becomes the great W. It becomes a wisdom. So yes, email me off of my site, and I'd love to offer you a free copy of Adapt and Maintain Enthusiasm in Adversity Using the 5-Step Facts Process.
Well, you heard it here. Fox is offering you a free copy, so please take advantage of it. Go to his website, foxbeyer.com, and that's BEYER.com. So you want to make sure you message him and let him know you'd be interested in having a copy. You will not regret this, because he has some really wonderful golden nuggets in this book. And as I said, I enjoyed reading. It is a quick read. It's not something that you got to sit there and go for days and days. Put it down, go back. It's a quick read, but the thing of it is reflection it's very important. And I just want to mention quickly, I have discovered that I'm doing a 31-day challenge on my blog. And the question that it's asking me is making me go back and think about things that I had forgotten all about. So you're right. When you can write about those things, it's more than just a memory, and it's no longer lost. There are things I would never have thought about sharing, but my children and grandchildren can go and read things about their grandma and mom that they didn't know about before, So
Right.
we encourage you to pick a pen and pencil or sit down at the keyboard in front of your computer and let's start writing. So
100%. Luana, what day are you in your 31-day blog challenge?
Today is, I'm trying to remember, the 7th or 8th day. I have to go and look. Because I took one day out. I had, for some reason, I started thinking about my dad, and I thought, I need to write this. So I wrote about my dad, and I let people know this is not part of the 31-day challenge. I just needed to write this. So I wrote about
There was a great picture you posted of your dad. I mean, I never knew the man, but I mean this and this is a compliment. He was a dude, because he's just sitting there chilling in that picture. Man, he was a dude.
Actually, I
Jerry
was
curls
in
and
a
all.
chair next to him, but I didn't like the way I looked. So I cropped me out of it.
Oh, I
and
didn't know that.
just put him in there. But and
Good
it's the
gracious.
only picture I have of my dad, you know. And now I don't have to worry about losing it because it's out there. It's out there
And
for
make like
everybody.
140 copies and keep it in your Google Drive.
Oh my God, if he was, well, I don't have time to get into that. Suffice to say, he was my cheerleader. My dad believed I could write and do things that I didn't have the faith in myself to do. And so I just want to honor
And
him.
you have and you do, and that's a fact.
Thank
You are a
you.
writer.
Thank you so much. All right. That is our show for today. Fox, we want to thank you for being our honored guest. You have contributed a great deal today. And please, I hope you all take some nuggets from what he had to say. It's a wonderful advice and shared some experiences that he's gone through. And remember, you're never alone. There's always someone who's willing to step up and help you. And you're looking at two of us right here. Just let us know what you need and we'll be there for you. So our guest next week is Maureen Stevenson. So make sure you join us. She's going to talk about healthy cooking and eating and exercising so that you still feel good even though you hit the 50. She's a living example of it. So you want to make sure you come in for that. And remember, go and check out my blog. It's at www.lawanasblog.com. Read some of the things I've written over there. Um, you'll learn a little more about me and some other stuff that I've posted on there as well. You can always contact me at any time at lwrepark@gmail.com. Just put BAG in the subject line so I will make sure that I go to your emails first. So until next time, please stay safe and keep the faith.
Take care.